Okay, now allow me to buckle my seatbelt here for a second and jump back into the present and respond to two Jerry Jones quotes in the final episode of this Netflix doc that's dropping on Tuesday. And for the record, these aren't really spoiler alerts. You should just watch them in context. In episode 8, it's called Jerry's World. And it's about what has, and more important, what hasn't happened to Jerry's Cowboys in the 30 years since they won that last long ago, far away Super Bowl. I mean, come on. They haven't even been back to an NFC championship game in 30 years? What? They've only made the playoffs 13 times in the last 30 years with Jerry owning and operating this team as its general manager. I say fire the general manager. Oh, wait, you can't. He's the owner. The Netflix crew was there in Jerry's box at the last Cowboys playoff game 2 years ago, you'll remember or try to forget, against Green Bay. Yeah, you remember. The Cowboys were the 2 seed. This is 2 years ago. A 7-point favorite at home over the Packers, who, by the way, were the youngest team in the playoffs that year. And before the game, the Netflix crew interviewed Jerry and his wife Jean and his daughter Charlotte and son Steven. And they all basically said, this is our year. Finally, happy days are about to be here again. Finally. That was their attitude before that game. They were on fire with optimism because this was it. And the Cowboys, my Dallas Cowboys, with Netflix rolling close up on Jerry's stunned face throughout the game, suffered what I still call the most humiliating home loss in playoff history in any sport. Show me a worse one than this, given the circumstance. The Dallas Cowboys, 2 seed, 7-point favorites, were down 27-0 at home before halftime. And afterward in the locker room, Netflix captured Jerry consoling Micah Parsons at Micah's locker. Jerry telling him, as bad as that was, it wasn't your fault. What? My wife, Ernestine, was watching the documentary with me, and I turned to Ernestine and I immediately said, that really pisses me off. She was too caught up in feeling sorry for Jerry at that moment. She thought he was coming across as just pathetic and lost, which was true, though as a lifelong diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, I obviously don't have an ounce of sympathy for the mess Jerry Jones has made of the team I love with all my heart and soul. But there in the documentary, right before my crying, dying eyes, was exactly what has been wrong with Jerry Jones' Dallas Cowboys for the last 30 years. Think about this. Jerry was consoling and absolving the best player on a defense that just gave up 27 points before halftime of a home playoff game. No, Jerry, no. Jerry Jones was coddling Micah Parsons like he was a grandson, taking him off the hook, failing to hold him accountable, giving Micah Parsons an off-season excuse to keep doing podcasts and playing in celebrity basketball games without an ounce of shame or guilt. Do I have to remind you, as the documentary will, that back in 1992, after a loss in Washington, Jimmy Johnson told the flight attendants on the team plane going back to Dallas not to serve dinner to the players because they did not deserve to eat dinner. That's why several players in this documentary called Jimmy an asshole. But that team was scared to death of Jimmy Johnson, who motivated by psycho fear. The Cowboys have missed asshole Jimmy ever since that Jerry fired Jimmy for being an asshole to Jerry. That's what happened. Jimmy an asshole? Yeah, he's a real asshole. Trust me. I know he once banned me from the facility for the second book that I wrote. I'll get into that story soon. So Jerry Jones now presides over a Dallas Cowboys country club in which no player is afraid of anything other than maybe what some Skip Bayless might say. Criticism their followers will instantly reject as just crazy lies. The Cowboys have no more bad cop. In that Green Bay game, Micah Parsons registered the worst stats of any game in his career, of any game. Jerry says, it's not your fault. What? The next day after that game, I honestly had to check to see if Micah Parsons got hurt in the game, and I missed it because I couldn't remember Micah playing in that game, home playoff game. That was the same Micah who had only 2.5 sacks in that season's final 7 regular season games. The same Micah who had no-showed in 2 previous playoff games against the 49ers, at 49ers, home against 49ers. Remember those? I can't remember Micah playing in those. And it wasn't your fault, Micah? Give me a break, Jerry, because you sure gave Micah a break. Look, I have again and again and again made the point that Micah hasn't wrecked any games since his rookie year. It took the league a year to figure him out, and since then, for 3 more years, he hasn't wrecked any games that I can remember. Since Mike has entered this league, he's 5th in sacks, and he's 5th in quarterback hits. Yet you watch, Jerry Jones will soon make Micah Parsons the highest paid defensive player in NFL history and be proud of it, because that's what Jerry does with his grandsons. Micah Parsons is yet another in a long line of overhyped and overpaid Dallas Cowboys stars. Put quotes around stars. I mean, Jerry said the other day, as I pointed out, that back in March, Jerry offered Micah almost $200 guaranteed million. That's more guaranteed money than all but 6 NFL quarterbacks. Way more guaranteed money than Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, any of those stud rushers who are all a little better than Micah. Micah should have just shaken on it, but he said, no, Jerry, he wanted his agent to do the negotiating. Oh, well, Jerry will keep himself in the national spotlight as that penny-pitching villain who won't pay poor Micah what he deserves. Jerry will do that. He'll milk it for all it's worth, all the publicity. He'll drain the last drop until the week before the season opener, when he will, right on schedule, absurdly overpay Micah Parsons, and they'll hug and they'll laugh, and I will cry, because there's no way Micah Parsons can live up to that kind of money. He just doesn't consistently have that kind of impact, that kind of historical impact. But it's not your fault, Micah. It's Jerry's. Which brings me finally to a line that Jerry spits out near the end of the documentary, final episode, when he's asked if he'll ever hire a GM. And Jerry says, I don't like it like that. Then, through gritted teeth, Jerry concludes, I like the pain. I like the pain. Look, no figure in sports history has been criticized more than Gerald Wayne Jones. None. You can't find anyone. I dare you to find somebody who's taken more criticism over more years. What's it now? 36 years. No, it's more than that. 36. That's right. 36 years. Who's in sports? Who has taken that kind of duration of criticism? I mean, Jerry, I was there. He was barbecued by the media as this Jethro Jones, this hick from the Arkansas Sticks when he first bought the Cowboys and he fired Tom Landry. Jerry Jones was roasted when the Cowboys went 1-15 their first season. Jerry Jones was drawn and publicly quartered for the Herschel Walker trade. Jerry Jones was annihilated, absolutely shining sea annihilated for firing Jimmy Johnson. And now he's been by far the biggest and easiest target in sports for the last 30 years. And he loves it. He loves it because the criticism keeps him in the international spotlight, keeps him extremely relevant at age 82. Who can do that? The criticism keeps Jerry alive. His team, the most valuable team in all the world, now valued at almost $13 billion, only keeps growing in value year after year after year. Loss after loss after loss. Nobody is turning the station on this soap opera. So in the end, this documentary, unfortunately, is a monument to Jerry Jones. As pathetic as he has looked for the last 30 years. Jerry prides himself on having the thickest skin ever in the history of sports. But the truth is, Jerry's really not feeling any pain. Jerry's actually an ecstatic masochist because he's the happiest ever masochist. He has 3 Super Bowl trophies in his office. He won the 3rd without Jimmy, the Jimmy he still despises, you'll see. So the point here is that in the end, Jerry's just having the time of his life. His is the most recognizable face in all the NFL. It's not the pain that Jerry likes. It's the attention. Even if it's relentlessly negative, it's all the relentless attention that he keeps getting and getting and getting. He's an ecstatic masochist. No. The only ones feeling the pain are we, the fans. We don't like the pain, Jerry, but we are stuck with you, and we are stuck with the pain.